Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, we are joined by former Mercyhurst defenseman Sam Isbell. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Sam, and how's everything going?
Well, thanks for having me. Things are going pretty good. As good as to be expected right now. Considering the times, but yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, and how's your quarantine been overall, and what have you been doing recently to pass the time and stay busy?
Well, it's been pretty good. I can't complain. I moved to Montreal at the start of the season. I found a job there. I'm doing some social media work in marketing, and yeah, we're just practicing a bit with the PWHPA right now. Hopefully, looking for a season in the 2021 year, but who knows? So we're just on the ice during the week right now.
Well, that's good to hear, and congratulations on the new job. Now, like you just said, you're going to play in the PWHPA. Talk about getting the chance to join that league, and what are your expectations heading into your first year there?
Yeah, so I'm actually really looking forward to it if we do get to play this year. My expectations is that it's going to be really, really fast paced. I've kind of already seen it already just through the practices and kind of jumping right in. It's obviously going to be a little bit of adjustment coming from NCAA Division One, but nevertheless, it's good hockey and it's fun to be there.
Now, which players are in the Montreal region? Because I know there's a few that I recognized from the Toronto region, but I didn't know there was different regions across the Canada and the U.S.
Yeah, so there's actually, I believe, five regions. There's the Toronto, Calgary, Montreal, and then there's, I think, New Hampshire, Minnesota. But in Montreal, we have Marie-Philippe Poulin, Laura Stacy, we have Jill Saunier, we have Erin Ambrose, Jamie Bourbonnais, we have Anne Sobatez, Lorianne Rougeau. I'm missing a few, Jesse Eldridge, but I'm missing a few players. But there's a bunch of really, really good players here.
Awesome, awesome. Now, I was doing some research on the PWHPA. There's like this Scotiabank team, and then there's another team as well. I'm kind of confused what that is. I was just asking if you can explain it a little bit because I think it's pretty cool how some advertising is getting involved with this league.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, what we're trying to do is create a league that's sustainable for women's hockey and kind of give young players something to look forward to and have a league to join after. So say they're like me coming out of college and don't have anywhere to play, then they have somewhere to go. Um, so the names of these teams are kind of just how we used to just have like the different regions, like I said, Montreal, Toronto, etc. But so now they're starting to name them with our new sponsors. So I think we can look forward to in the future a few more named teams. With we haven't got ours yet, but yeah. So that's kind of exciting for us because we didn't really know that was coming either. So that's good news, I guess, for us heading in the right direction.
Yeah, it's awesome. Now, I know you don't know exactly when the PWHPA will start, but do you have any idea when things might start soon, in February or March? I know a vaccine's coming, so maybe sooner than that.
Hopefully in the new year, but we can't really be too sure, I guess. It's good news if the World Juniors happens and if the Women's Worlds in the New Year's happens too. That's good for hockey and we can probably expect a season next year, maybe, but who knows? It's tough to say right now for sure, but the vaccine sounds promising. So.
Well, that's good to hear. Now, I want to transition to the beginning of your hockey career. You're from Thunder Bay, Ontario. How did you start playing hockey, and what made you fall in love with the sport?
Well, I'm from a small town and there's not a whole lot to do here besides play hockey. So pretty much everybody here is into it at one point or another. But I was actually at the rink. I think my dad was playing and my sister and I were there and I was like, Mom, I want to play hockey. And my sister said she wanted to be a figure skater and they told us we had to pick one or the other. So I won that debate and we both ended up playing hockey. So that's how that started.
Yeah, didn't your sister play for Chatham University, which is a D3
She
school?
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a goalie. She played D3 in Pittsburgh.
Oh, that's awesome. Was it fun getting to practice with her, growing up, especially you being a goal scorer, defenseman, and she being a goalie?
Yeah, so we actually had a year together in midget because she's 2 years older. So she had her third year and when I was starting my first, so we got to play together then. And that was the first time since we were really young that we got to do that. But it was always awesome growing up with a goalie because my dad would always do the outdoor ice in the winter in the backyard, and I would always have somebody to shoot on. So that was definitely a perk.
Yeah, and who was your favorite player growing up?
Well, my favorite's always been Crosby. I just love the way he plays and just a great role model for kids all around.
Oh yeah, I'm more of an Ovechkin guy, but I definitely can respect Crosby. I think Ovechkin's a better goal scorer, though, in my opinion. But that's a debate for
That's
another
true.
day.
Respect, respect.
Now, before Mercyhurst, you played for the Whitby Wolves in the PWHL. Talk about your experience there and how did you get the opportunity to play there?
So I was committed to Mercyhurst when I was going to Whitby, and I was actually playing in Thunder Bay my whole life. And my coaches at Mercyhurst wanted me to play up just so I was having a better transition going into college and playing at a faster pace than I was. And I kind of just reached out to the Whitby coaches, and they came and saw me play at a tournament and said they'd love to have me. And that was kind of how it stemmed, I guess.
Yeah, and how did playing for Whitby help prepare you for college hockey?
It was awesome. I mean, it helped prepare me more so off the ice than on the ice, I feel, just because that was my first time away from home, and I had the opportunity to live with an amazing billet family, and that kind of prepped me to move away from home for good for 4 years, which was awesome. But the on ice was awesome as well. I mean, I couldn't complain. We were in the top 10 the whole year. And I don't know, I just had a really, really good time there. So I think that definitely prepared me for college.
What was it like moving away from home at such a young age, and how did you try to adapt to that new setting?
Um, it was difficult at first. I mean, I was someone growing up who I was always like worried about going places when I didn't know somebody. But I had to adjust really quickly. So definitely meeting new people, meeting new friends and stuff that I could reach out to was definitely helpful. But the family I lived with was probably the biggest help for me, honestly, because they were just so great to me.
Now, what was your favorite memory at Whitby?
Oh God, I have so many. Favorite memory. I can't even pick one. I just have so many. Just I have so many good friends from that team that I'm still connected with today and that I've seen since. But yeah, we had a lot of fun there. I can't put my finger on one specific event, but
Now, transitioning to college hockey, talk about your recruiting process and why did you want to play for Mercyhurst?
yeah, so I was in high school at the time, and I believe it was Lou Goulet or maybe Delaney Collins that reached out to me um, when I was kind of in the process of like reaching out to coaches and them kind of getting back to me, but not really because of all the rules. Um, but I remember hearing from them and having a few phone calls and stuff like that, and then I decided to go on a visit that summer and I had the pleasure of walking around campus with Coach Lou and kind of just fell in love with it. It's a really small campus and it's really beautiful in the summertime with all the flowers and everything, which is really cool. But the hockey just was like, it had its own, I don't know what the word is, but um, I can't think of a word for that.
Vibe.
Anyway, they were just kind of like renowned like for their hockey
Oh,
program
yeah.
because the rest of the school was D2, which is great too, but so it was kind of more focused on the hockey, and that's what I kind of liked. And I don't know, I just like the whole vibe of the school. It was really small, and I came from a small town, so that was kind of comforting to me. But I liked that a lot. So
Yeah, talking a little bit more about the coaching staff, what was it like to play under Mike Sisti, and what was he like as a coach, especially since I just noticed that he got his 500th win of his career?
yeah, that's awesome. We made a video saying congrats to him. So awesome. That's a huge milestone, for sure. So congrats, coach. But I had a great time. I mean, I struggled the first couple of years, just battling some health issues and stuff like that. But overall, I had a great time, and coach was nothing but good to me. And I had a lot to learn going in, and I feel like I came out knowing a lot more than I came in with. And I definitely progressed as the years went on, and I went from a forward to defense and kind of everywhere in between. But yeah, overall, I had a really, really good experience with Coach Sisti and Mercier's hockey in general.
Now, what was the biggest adjustment you had to make to college hockey? Obviously, the mental side is huge, making quicker decisions. Also, the physicality as well, because you're playing against players that are 4 years older than you. But you also had the transition of going through different positions as well, like you just said. What, in your opinion, was the biggest adjustment you had to make, and how did you make that adjustment?
Sure. The biggest adjustment for me was kind of learning how to become more mentally tough. I knew how to get stronger. I knew how to get quicker, but I needed to adjust mentally. Kind of not trying to like not being a baby when things don't go my way, and because things like that you can't get away with in college like you can when you're playing younger, right? So I feel like I had to kind of get put in my place a few times just because I didn't have the right attitude, and I feel like attitude is everything these days, and energy is contagious. So I feel like by creating more positive energy for myself, that elevated my game and my teammates around me.
Yeah, and during your freshman year, your team struggled a little bit. You were below 500. Talk about that season as a whole, because your team did start to figure out a little bit towards the end of the year, winning 5 straight games.
Yeah, so that was definitely a tough year. I remember that, but I just think we had a tough year all around. I think that when things aren't going well on the ice, then things stop going well off the ice too. And when you're not vibing as a team off the ice or on the ice, then things just aren't going to go your way. I mean, you could be the best team in the world and still have things not go your way. So I think we had a lot of talent and a lot of what's the word? uh, potential. We had a lot of potential, but we just didn't really do anything with it until it was too late. So, yeah, that's about it.
Now, you lost to Lindenwood in the CHA playoffs that year. Talk about that game. What do you remember from that, and how did that game motivate yourself for the rest of your college hockey career?
So I think that game we kind of just went into it with the wrong attitude. I feel like because Lindenwood wasn't doing as great, or I guess we were kind of on the same track as them, but we always probably just felt like we were better, which we weren't, and we didn't prove it either. So I think just going in with the right attitude could have changed everything because we just didn't have the right attitude, and it just didn't end well for us. But they had a really hot goalie too, so that was definitely a factor. But I remember just being so frustrated that game. Like it was just one of those times where nothing was going your way, and the more you kept like thinking about how nothing is going your way, it just kept getting worse. So yeah, I think just the attitude was terrible going into it, but it definitely motivated us for the next 3 years because the next couple playoffs where we would always say to the girls, we're like, okay, we've been here before. Like we have to go into it this way, or else it's going to end up like it did our first year. So I feel like our captains and my teammates did a really good job at reminding everybody how to act and how we can really play in tough situations like that.
Yeah, your team improved a lot from your freshman to your sophomore year. What did you and your team work on in the offseason to make such improvements? And that freshman class that came in your sophomore year was obviously one of the best recruiting classes in college hockey that year. So, how did you try to add their talents to your talents that you had previously? And it seemed to work together that year as well.
Yeah, I feel like my second year we had a really good leadership group. I think that because we had such a bad year the first year, we were super focused on training in the off season, and our programming was great by Tyler there, and we were just working super hard because we didn't want to end up like we did the first year again. So that, along with how good our leaders were that year, they always made sure that we were on track and everybody had a good attitude and stuff like that. So I just feel like we really figured out how to work hard.
Yeah, and during your sophomore year, your team won the CHA championship and made the national tournament for the first time. What was it like to win that league championship for yourself?
That was awesome. That was one of the feelings like in the world that you just can't buy or can't even explain. It was kind of the first time in my life that I actually really won something like that, and that's something that I can always look back and like remember every second vividly, just because it was like such an unreal feeling. But yeah, that was awesome.
And you played Clarkson in the national tournament. Talk about what it was like to play the number one team in the country at the time, and what did you take away from that game? Because you guys almost upsetted them. I remember watching it.
Yeah, that was a really fun game. Besides the winning game right before that, that was probably one of my other favorite games of the year, or maybe even my whole college career. I think that just the energy in the entire building was just crazy. It was just so intense, and like every second counted, and they ended up winning because we messed up on something. So it was like a game of mistakes. Like if they messed up, then we could have won. So it was really even. We were neck and neck the whole game, and we actually almost came out with the win, but sadly we did not. But that was a really cool feeling to play at that rink in front of that crowd, and for such high stakes.
Yeah, and in your junior season, your team lost to Syracuse in the CHA tournament. What did you learn from that loss that motivated you for your senior year, and how did it compare to the loss that you had against Lindenwood your freshman year?
So in comparison, I think it was a little bit different just because I feel like we had a better attitude than the first year going into that game, but just not the right outcome, and things like that do happen. But that was my junior year. So going into my senior year, I knew how that felt to lose in that game, and I didn't want to go out in my senior year, especially seeing the way the seniors went out that year and my junior year, and I didn't want that to be us the next year. So I think myself, along with the rest of the senior class, really kind of tried to remember that feeling and try to push it upon everybody else to step up for that last game.
Now, what was the biggest improvement you made to your game since your freshman year to your senior year?
Um, I feel like coming into college, my weakness was my skating, and then I think I ended up that was probably one of my strong suits, and I feel like I worked really hard at that. I improved. I just feel like coachability overall. Like I feel like listening to what your coaches are telling you and kind of trying to execute what they're trying to tell you. And I feel like I got a lot better at that because there's nothing more annoying when you tell somebody to do something and they don't do it and they continue to make the same mistakes. So I felt like I really tried to focus on that too along the way.
Yeah, one thing I admire about you as a player is how good you are on the offensive side, being a defenseman, and then how you also balance that by being a good defenseman as well. How do you try to balance both those parts of your game?
Well, thank you. But so I actually didn't even start playing defenseman until the second half of my senior year there. We had a couple injuries and kind of just needed to throw me in. I ended up staying as a defense. So I've actually played defense a few times in the past, just when I was a lot younger. But I've always had a passion for it. I love playing defense, and I love playing on the power play as on the point. I think that's like the most fun thing in the world. But trying to balance that, it's definitely hard transitioning if you're going back and forth for sure. But um, I think having an offensive mind as a defenseman is actually super helpful just because you can see the ice a little bit better and make those decisions quicker in order to score a goal. So it was a hard to balance for sure, but it was a lot of fun.
And another adjustment you have to make as a defenseman is you get more ice time than you do when you're a forward. How did you manage that as well? Was it an easy adjustment because obviously most players want to play as much as they can, or was it kind of hard because did you feel any tiresome during that first few games for your adjustment?
Um, in the first little bit, I think it was a bit of an adjustment. It was definitely different muscles skating backwards than it was forwards because as a forward, you don't really do it a whole lot. But I adjusted pretty quickly, I would think. But um, yeah, I don't think I was as tired on defense, to be honest, just because you're not skating as much. I don't feel like, but definitely when you get caught in your end for a 2 minute shift, you get pretty tired. So.
Yeah, definitely. Now, speaking of your senior year, what type of leadership did you want to bring to the team? Were you more of a vocal or lead by example type of player?
Um, I try to be the best I could be all around, regardless of what's on your shirt. You have if you have the letter or not. But I definitely try to be a leader on the ice more so. Like I in between periods, I would say things and stuff if I had to. But I definitely when freshmen came in, I definitely try to show them kind of how we run things there and how we work hard on and off the ice. So definitely, I think more on the ice and kind of leading by example for sure.
Yeah, talk about the leadership that your team had your senior year. You obviously had Maggie Knott, who was a great captain. Talk about how did you guys balance out what type of leadership roles you wanted? Because I felt like you guys did a good job for with the leadership type of play you did in your senior year.
Yeah, so I actually had it was awesome because all the captains were my closest friends, so I kind of would be in on it too, and kind of hearing what they had to say outside of the rink and kind of helping them out in that way. But I feel like we had a really strong group there. And they're always very good at communicating between the team and the coaches, and kind of executing what needed to be done. And I think they couldn't have done a better job. They're really, really great.
Now, your team obviously won the CHA again, your senior year in overtime nonetheless. What was it like to win that game? And talk about that goal that Summer Rae Dobson scored, and what emotions were you feeling after getting your final CHA win for your senior year? That must have been a great way to cap it off.
Yeah, you know what? It couldn't have ended better. I mean, regardless of the circumstances that happened with COVID, I mean, at least we won that last game. And when Summer scored, I think everybody was kind of just like in shock, and everybody was just throwing their gloves and everything. And it was just, that's, like I said before, that's just a feeling you can't buy, and one of the things I'll treasure for the rest of my life, because it was just so awesome. Actually, a funny story about that was, we actually went back and watched the video of when she scored, and you could actually see all of our dads in the corner hugging and jumping in each other's arms. It's so funny.
Yeah, I didn't notice that, but I got to take a look at the tape.
You'll take a
After.
look, you'll see it.
Now, your team was obviously supposed to play in the national tournament again before COVID shut everything down. Where did you find out that news, and what was your reaction knowing that you played your final college hockey game?
Yeah, so we were actually having a team lunch before we got on the bus to head to Cornell. We had lunch at the rink, and coach kind of sat us down and was like, listen, this is what's happening. We're kind of hearing things hour to hour here. So would you guys rather leave tomorrow morning early, just in case if we hear today, then we won't have to travel back, you know? So um, we kind of decided as a team, we're like, okay, let's wait until the morning just to see what happens. And sure enough, that afternoon, we all got a text, hey guys, come to the rink. We have a meeting. And yeah, so we found out there, and everybody was pretty devastated. I mean, we kind of heard like on Twitter and stuff before we got there. So I think we were all kind of in shock at first, for sure, but it was definitely some devastating news.
Yeah, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. That's obviously tough, especially being a senior and not being able to have that closure. And do you ever think about that? Like, man, like we could have beat Cornell because they struggled in the ECAC tournament. Do you ever have those thoughts, after that news happened?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely tough, because that's one of those things that you'll never know, right? Like, it's the what ifs that will kill you. But I mean, we can just look back and know that we won that last game and kind of did the best we could do. And there's really nothing else you can do about it besides kind of be thankful for what we did do. So, I mean, it would have been awesome to play those last one or two games, but that's okay. I mean, everything happens for a reason, I guess. So.
Now, talk about what it was like to play in the CHA, and what did you notice about playing in your conference versus other conferences? Because obviously the CHA is a little bit of a smaller conference compared to the WCHA or Hockey East. And what was it like playing those teams every night, and how tough were those weekends, and how did you try to game plan for those teams?
So I feel like we definitely had a lot more pressure within the CHA, playing within the league, because we had that like in the back of our mind that we wanted to win the league first and then win the tournament. So there's definitely a lot more at stake within those league games, but nonetheless, like we still felt a lot of pressure playing against the other leagues too. I mean, like playing teams like Wisconsin and Minnesota and things like that. We always felt like we could beat them, and we stood a good shot, and we always played the best we could. So um, but definitely we put a lot of emphasis on those league games, because those are what kind of mattered in the long run.
Yeah. Now, after graduating Mercyhurst, what has been your favorite memory hockey-wise with your college hockey experience, I guess?
Um, you know what? I think just winning those two championships were probably the pinnacle for me. I mean, I met a lot of great friends along the way. I've had great coaching staff and everybody and support staff around. Just the whole experience at Mercyhurst was really great for me. I had the time of my life, and I wish I could do another 4 years, to be honest, but I can't. But yeah, I just, those two championships definitely were my highlights for sure.
Now, talk about what it was like to play with Alexa Vasco and just how good of a player she was. We had her on the podcast recently, and I really admire her a lot because she's such a great defensive forward and she's such a good leader for that team. What was it like being her teammate, and what did you like the most about her game?
Yeah, for sure. So Vasco is one of my good friends. what I like the most about her is that she is relentless. She will do anything she can to be the best and do the best she can, and never settles for anything less than that. And she's one of the most fit, in shape, and ready to play players I know, and just overall very, very good at what she does, and definitely a role model to everybody around her, and a great leader.
Yeah, and what was it like to play with Summer Rae Dobson as well? We obviously talked about that goal she scored in the CHA championship. What was she like as a teammate as well?
Summer is a great teammate. She's a fun teammate to be around. She's someone who's always loose in the locker room, never kind of taking herself too seriously. She's great to have around, and you can always count on her to score those goals. So, and she proves it time after time.
We're now in the non-hockey segment of the podcast where I ask you some non-hockey questions. Now, my first one is, what is your
Sure.
favorite outdoor activity?
My favorite outdoor activity. Um, God, I don't know. What do I do outside? I do like to swim. We actually put in a pool a few years ago, and I do enjoy my summers in the pool. Other than that, I have two dogs, so I enjoy walking them every day. And I don't do a whole lot of different activities outside. Like I sometimes run or bike, but not a whole lot. So
I do enjoy a good bike ride, but something that I'm going to try to get into the next year is rowing. Or we're getting a rowing machine, and I'm really
yeah,
pumped because apparently it works out like 75% of your body. So I'm really excited to get that thing, and then hopefully I can go kayaking during the summer when the weather gets nicer. So I'm looking forward to
yeah.
that.
Rowing is hard. Rowing is really hard.
Oh yeah, it's
I've
good
actually,
good exercise. So that's why I
oh
want
yeah,
to do it.
yeah, that's a good idea. I've always wanted to try snowboarding actually, and I might try to get into that this winter since ski hills are actually one of the things that are open right now. So
Yeah, I've always wanted to snowboard, but it seems difficult. So I gotta like take some lessons before I try it because I don't want to be like, I don't know if you saw the video of Tom Brady a few years ago when he tried skiing and he went up that hill and he like collapsed and fell down and like almost broke his arm.
no,
I
I
don't want to
haven't
be a
seen that.
YouTube video, but I definitely have
No,
to take lessons before I do snowboarding.
become a meme.
Oh yeah, I don't want to do that. Now, another non-hockey question I have is, who's your favorite actor or actress?
Jennifer Aniston, hands down. Or actually, you know what? I would say Jennifer Aniston for female, just because I love Friends and every movie she's been in. But I also recently I love Dan Levy from Schitt's Creek. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but highly recommend. He's awesome.
Yeah, I haven't really watched that many Friends. My favorite actor is probably either The Rock, Kevin Hart,
Uh,
or I don't know, probably like Matt McConaughey. I think he's pretty interesting.
those are all good too.
So,
All right, I didn't think of those, but I like them too.
now, another question is, what music do you like to listen to that pumps you up before a game? Or just what do you like to listen to in general, I guess? What's your music taste?
You know what? I have a pretty eclectic taste. It kind of ranges. I grew up listening to old rock from my parents, so I have playlists for that. I have country. I'm from the country, so I kind of have like I'm all over the place. So, but before a game, I kind of experimented with this in my first couple of years, just kind of figuring out what works best and not to get too high or too low. I usually listen to like something like kind of calming, but not like put me to sleep calming, but nothing too crazy or else I get too high and then I just don't perform well. So,
What
what about yourself?
I like to listen to a lot of hip hop and electric music as well. That's kind of my
Yeah.
thing, kind of basic on that. More of The Weeknd. I'm a big Weeknd fan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I love some of his songs; they're very good. And then probably like I don't know, like J. Cole or I don't know, someone like that. That's what I usually like to listen to, or Avicii. But what like for calming
Nice.
music, like what would be an example of that? Like the Lumineers or U2?
Yeah, I love Lumineers. Yeah, things like that, kind of like an indie, like alt kind of vibe.
All right, all right. Now, doing research on yourself, I noticed that you're pretty big on the app TikTok. What made you want to get an account, and how do you decide what videos you're going to post?
Okay, so it was actually right after we decided or finished our season there. Everybody was doing it. Like I had teammates in the airport doing TikToks and stuff, and I was like, "There's no way I'm downloading that." Like I know I have an addictive personality. I'm like I'm never gonna get off this app, and then I caved, and I got an account, but I didn't start really posting on it until I was in quarantine at home with my family, and we were kind of have nothing else to do. So I actually work in for a company that's partnered with TikTok, so I actually do that for my job as well. So that's kind of how it I got kind of more into it.
Yeah, no, like there's some funny videos, especially the one that you made recently. I think that's how I found out about it, was about like different things that your girlfriend does that you have to do better.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you come up with those ideas?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
so that one was actually just stemmed off of a guy talking about what his wife does, and I kind of just made it my own. It was a joke, 100%. She doesn't actually cry that much, but it was definitely inspiration from another video.
Now, speaking of the topic of music that we are just talking about earlier, what is the worst Christmas song since it's the holiday season?
The worst. Oh my gosh. Do you know that the Dominic the Donkey? You know that song?
I know a little bit of it. Yeah, I usually don't listen to
My
it.
dad. My dad turns it right up when it's on and starts singing around the house, and that's probably my least favorite just because it's so annoying, but I
No,
do
my
kind of like it though.
my least favorite, and I don't think this one gets enough hate, is Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney. I love the Beatles, but that song is just awful. Like the beat is terrible, the lyrics are repetitive
Yeah.
and annoying. I hate that song, and it's always played, and everyone just loves it, and I never understood why. I think it's the worst song ever.
I actually kind of agree with that because you know what? His voice doesn't even really sound great in that either.
No,
No
and that's
offense to
like
him, but it's not great.
And then it's like the choir sings this song. It's like these fake kids that they put in. The like you can definitely tell it wasn't like an actual choir. Just a terrible song. But I was reading somewhere where he makes more money from that song than any of his Beatles songs, which I find pretty. Just shows you I need to
Wow.
make a Christmas song one day.
Seriously. That's the industry you got to get into.
Yeah, no, I'm not a good singer, so I guess I got to find someone that can do that. Now,
Seriously.
final. Now, another non-hockey question is obviously New Year's is when the Winter Classic comes around, and I don't know if you've ever played a game outside, but what stadium would you want to play an outdoor game at?
Probably Fenway.
Oh,
I think
nice.
they do them at Fenway, right? Yeah, because I've
Yeah.
I've been to a game at a baseball game there, but I have family that lives in Boston too, and I love Boston. I love the whole city, so I think that would be a really really cool spot to do the Winter Classic at.
Yep, being from Boston, I'd love to play a game at Fenway. I went to an outdoor game there one time. It was a college hockey game, UConn versus Maine. UConn got blown out.
Yeah.
Pretty upset
Oh
about
no.
that. But no, it was fun. It was very cold. That was the only thing I really remember. I forgot to bring
Yeah.
gloves, so my hands were very dry after. Now, last non-hockey question is: what is your biggest pet peeve?
Oh God. I think it's like people like touching me for like no reason, like coming like or just like weird, they're like grabbing me or something when I'm not expecting it, and I just like prefer to not be touched. I don't know if that's like a weird fear or phobia
It's
or
not.
something
That's
like
not
that,
weird. I
but
don't. Most people normally don't touch me to greet myself. So I that's definitely I understand that pet peeve. Now back to some hockey questions before I let you go. What should be done to help grow women's hockey, especially you're now in the PWHPA? I feel like it's getting more attention, at least the college side. I know some games are being televised, but is there anything else that needs to be done to help grow the sport?
I mean, the biggest thing is proving that we have fans and stuff like that. I mean, we've done it over and over again. I mean, even the last Olympics, I think women's hockey was the second most watched event. But I think just the proving that we get the fans and we can support ourselves and things like that. I mean, it all kind of comes down to money in the end, but I think just kind of supporting the league and having a goal for the future and for something that's bigger than ourselves because we're not really doing this for ourselves, right? So it's more so for our kids or our kids that they can play in a league and kind of pursue that dream for us that we didn't really get to do. So I feel like just having that league in North America would be absolutely amazing for the future of women's hockey.
Now, yeah, I want to talk a little more about the business side of things. How does the money work for women's hockey? I know you guys get paid significantly less than NHL players. How do you try to boost revenue, especially during a time where revenue is very hard to get without fans?
Yeah, so the PWHPA is actually we don't get paid. It's kind of I don't know how to explain it. It's like a just a league that's developing and trying to pursue those goals. So I mean, Obviously it's hard. I mean, you can play in the other leagues too, like NWHL or the like overseas, and they get paid, but it's still significantly less than men's. So I think there was like a stat. It was like the salary from one average third liner in the NHL could fund our entire league, and that kind of speaks volumes. So, I mean, hopefully in the future we end up getting funded, but who knows?
Yeah, I'm always interested why the NHL never partners with like the PWHPA and the NWHL, because I know they did a thing with the All-Star game last year, which I thought was really cool, was when they had those top players play a game in the skills competition. I thought that was a really big thing, growing women's hockey. But why does the NHL not really partner with women's hockey? I've always been curious to that, or do you even know the answer to that?
So I think it has to, I don't know a whole lot about this. I'm still fairly new, but I think it has something to do with there not being one league. I think there needs to be just one instead of the NWHL and then the PWHPA. So I think there was some talk about it in the past, and I know that we're kind of getting there, I think, but I'm sure in the future the NHL will be partnered with some sort of women's league, but I can't say for certain.
Well, I appreciate you talking about that, and I hope that you continue to grow the sport because women's hockey is just as good as men's hockey. If you ever watch a college hockey game, you can definitely see it. So hopefully this platform can help just a little bit. I know it's significantly smaller than the NHL and some other big platforms, but I just hope that getting you and other players on will help that development a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome, and we definitely appreciate you doing this for us. It's been a pleasure talking to you today.
Now, what should I do better as an interviewer to improve this podcast to make this platform better?
Um, I don't know. I think you're doing a really great job. I mean, just keep being you and keep following and believing what you believe in, and yeah, just be yourself and believe in what you do and believe that it's helping because it is. And anytime somebody's speaking about it or kind of trying to promote it, that's good, right? So any kind of exposure is awesome, and you're doing a wonderful job. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Now, is there any shout outs you'd like to give to any of your family members, former teammates, or friends you have before we let you go?
Yeah, just my Mercyhurst girls, miss you guys, and you guys are the best teammates ever. So go Hurst. Woo.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Sam. I really appreciate it. Take care. Have a wonderful holiday. And thank you so much for coming on. I loved watching you play. You're one of my favorite players. And I wish you all the best in the PWHPA.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you, like I said. So I'm happy to help anytime you need me. So feel free to reach out anytime.
Now, one thing I just want to ask you before I end this thing, what do you want your outro song to be?
Oh God. Um, I don't know. Do people usually have like a song that they're like
Some
prepared for?
people, some people like zing off an answer quickly. So I've been pretty
Oh
impressed. I
man.
can pick one for you and I can let you know if you want. Like,
How about you pick one for me and you surprise me?
all right, I'll let you know when the episode gets
Okay.
released. It should be out like in 1 or 2 weeks, and I'll let you know
Okay.
all the information when everything's all set up. But thank you so much for coming on.
Perfect.
I really
Well,
appreciate it.
thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, that's
No problem.
awesome.
If you ever need anything promoted for yourself or for the PWHPA, just reach out. I'd love to help out as much as I can.
Sure. Awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem. Have a great day.
Appreciate the support.
No
All right,
problem.
you too. Bye bye. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.